Hello everybody and welcome to Ed's Boat. Right, in this video I'm going to be answering some of your questions. These are questions that I've been meaning to answer for a little while, haven't got around to them. I am so busy at the moment, it makes my head spin. So apologies for this video, it's going to be very rushed, but let's get straight on to the questions. Well, I got asked a really good question. It's not one I've been asked before, and I've not really seen it much on anybody else's channel either, but I thought it was such a good question I would feature it. And that question was, when you install a sink inside the boat, how do you account for the fact that, well, the boat's not level? Generally, narrow boats are higher at the front than at the back. As you can see illustrated here, the walkway is level, the front of the boat is considerably higher than the back of the boat. And that's really noticeable on some boats. When you're inside them and walk from the back to the front, you feel like you really are walking uphill, which you are. If you turn around and go the other way, yes, you're walking downhill. It's very noticeable. Other boats, like mine, it's less noticeable. They sit a bit more level in the water. Yes, it's still a bit higher at the front, but not by so much. So I'm going to use my sink as an example. Now, the front of the boat is that way, and hopefully when I pour water onto the draining board, it will drain down into the sink area here, you see, through the drain. But the drain is actually towards the front, not the back. So the water has to fall on there and drain in as well. But that's designed into the sink, that the drain outlet is actually the lowest point of the whole of that sink. So let's pour some water on and see how it runs. You can see the water makes its way down and runs down into the sink nicely, you see. And if I pour water up this end, you'll see that drains into the sink as well. So that was designed into it. So I know that my draining board is going to work okay. But what about the problems of the side-to-side issue? Well, the front of the boat is that way, and my spirit level, which is sitting on the kitchen worktop, is pretty good at the moment. I'm standing right in the middle of the boat. But if I move over to one side, this is just one person, I'm just going to move over. You'll see the bubble move over. And if I move over to the other side, you'll see it go the other way. Now that has to be taken into account when putting a sink in. I've established that one person moving around the boat can have an influence on the angle of the surfaces. Now imagine that my sink is not this way, it is 90 degrees on. 2 or 3 people standing one side or other of a boat can have a massive influence on the angle of it and how it would drain. Imagine also if I had a pump out toilet on a boat, a full toilet would be really heavy on one side of the boat, which is usual, but an empty one would be really light. So again, that would make the boat rock side to side slightly and could affect the way the draining board works. So I don't know how people get round that. I don't know whether you can put an extra piece in the back to sort of stop splashes, or they bias the sink slightly to cope with that, but it is something that would need consideration. One question I promised I would answer was, what happens to the waste water after it's gone down the sink? Now, this has been featured on other people's videos, but I promised I would answer the question, so here it is. Okay, this is my demonstration of how it works. There's my sink drain. I've got a bowl of water there ready to pour down in a second so I can show you. But basically the water or waste will go down there, straight out the bottom of the sink and through that hose to a skin fitting which is bolted into the side of the boat. So if I reach through the window, I've got a bowl of water in there. I can tip that up and you should see the water come straight out the side. There you go, and that runs straight into the canal. Well, that's all right for your hand washing sink and your kitchen sink, but what about the shower? At the bottom of the shower is below the water line of the canal, so how does that get out? Well, I have a gulper pump, and I've put it in here for easy access so I can get at it and maintain it. And the pipework goes under the floor and is drawn out through this pump and then pumped into the waste for the sink here and out into the canal. And that's what it looks like with the pump going. The gulper pump, you can see, is pushing the water out nicely. And no, it doesn't find its way back up into the sink. It just flows its way nicely out the side of the boat. Now that's just for grey water. That's your everyday water. That's your washing up water and the water you use to wash you. It's okay to put into the canal at the moment. But, well, water that's not so safe, like from your toilets and stuff like that, that has to be collected separately and disposed of properly. Lots and lots of questions about the new cratch cover. I'm going to try and address as many of those as I can. And the first one was, how secure is it? Will it blow away in the wind? Well, we're on the other side of a storm now that blew in about a week ago, and it's still there. So yeah, pretty durable. But let's go inside and see exactly how it's fixed down. The hoops are fixed down with these brackets here, and they are screwed into the superstructure of the boat. They're stainless steel, they're very, very strong, and the hoop itself is screwed into that bracket. As for the rest of it, well, at the front you have these tensioning straps, and they are horseshoe brackets that are riveted again into the superstructure of the boat. So this storm we had blow in the other day did not affect it in the slightest, and it still looks exactly the same as when I had it fitted. Well, the next question was, will it be aerodynamic? It's not such a silly question. Yes, it will be more aerodynamic. What he meant by that was, when you're in a headwind, will it slow the boat down as much? Well, it can't do because it doesn't stick out as much, but yeah, I'm guessing it will have some influence in coping with a headwind better, but I wouldn't have thought it would make a massive difference. Also, another question was, would I have to watch out a bit more on bridges and stuff like that? Yes, I would, because it's not actually very, very tough, that framework. I mean, it is pretty tough, but it's not going to cope with hitting a bridge. However, where the top of it is here, that is the highest point, so the rest of it slopes down. And that bit is considerably lower than the old one was. It used to stick right out up here. So yes, it's probably going to miss the bridges better, so it should actually cope better. But the big question was, when it came to buying a new cratch cover, how much did I spend? Well, I need to go and sit down inside before I answer that. Okay, so how much did I actually spend on my canvas cratch cover? Well, I'm not going to tell you, but I'll give you some idea of how much it cost. Before I do, I just want to explain that what I've had is effectively a start from scratch deal. I'll remove my old one, and this is a complete thing ready to go. Also, if you have windows and zips and stuff like that, that is an extra expense, but that is true of most canvas manufacturers. Now, Canvasman do say they are not the cheapest in the book, but they do offer quite a comprehensive package. That is a support package and guarantees and things like that, and that's what attracted me. They give me quite an enduring guarantee with it. They have follow-up services for service, repair, this sort of thing. So I know that if animals eat it or it gets ripped off or whatever, gets destroyed, the computer diagrams are still on record. They can make me another one, deliver it to them. Also, they do a postal service, I believe, as well, where you can send it back to them if you put a gouge or scratch or cut in it, and they can repair it, and then they'll send it back to you. So that attracted me. Now, if I was to spend my money at the most expensive canvas manufacturer in the country, I could lose close to £3,000 for this design. Now, this is one of the more expensive designs. If I had a more traditional type canvas, which is two sides effectively, yes, it would be cheaper. But then I'd have the expense of a cratch board as well. They can cost sort of £500–600 depending where you go. Obviously cheaper if you make it yourself, but yeah, it is an extra expense. So Canvasman do say they are not the cheapest in the book. However, their package and everything else, I think, is probably going to pay off, and they do expect this to last 10 years, 15 years quite easily, and if it is looked after and has is cared for, you could expect up to 20 years from one of these. They don't think that's unheard of, but I thought that would be economically viable. So the two sides from Canvasman for a traditional type cratch cover will cost round about £800 to £900. Now that's expensive for some people, and there are people doing it cheaper. But a canvas like this is a lot more expensive. In fact, it's one of their more expensive types. So it's cost, yeah, twice that quite easily, and maybe a little bit more as well. So that's the sort of figures we are looking at. If you do like the canvas crash cover and you do fancy having one yourself, do get in touch with Canvas Man. They've asked me to put their phone number up for you, so at the end of the video there'll be a contact number. If you've got any questions about the Canvas Man, do phone them up. They said they're very approachable. Give them a call and they'll tell you what you need to know. So there you are. I haven't told you exactly how much it is, but I've hinted at the costs involved. Well, there you are for another episode. Answered a few questions anyway. These are questions that needed answering with a bit of film work as well, not just a description. And I really, really like the question about the kitchen sink and the way it flows and stuff like that. That was a really good question to ask, so I'm pleased I addressed that for you. In the next episode, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing, but we'll be getting up to something. I am very, very busy at the moment. I'm right in the middle of a house move. I'm still trying to work on the boat. I'm trying to get everything else done. We're rapidly approaching Christmas. But do keep an eye out in the new year for a mini-series that I'm going to be doing around the boats of information. I'll give you more notice about that in the new year, but it's going to be a small series on Ed Explains. It's going to be videos dedicated to new to boating, want to get into boating, watching from abroad, this sort of thing. It's going to help fill in some of the gaps so you've got some idea of what we're talking about. Right, I've got to get going. There's loads and loads to do. So in the meantime, take care and I'll see you soon.